So this is for Chapter 2 of the BUS 270 course, and we're working with Solver in Excel. And I'm just going to use the example from the book to kind of show you guys what to do with it, so hopefully you can understand it. What I have written down here are the equations that you came up with, or well, they showed you, but this is probably going to be your toughest part, is you have to be able to come up with the equations correctly. Now, this is how we get our maximum profit. We multiply 7 times the number of tables plus 5 times the number of chairs, and that gives our maximum profit. This is what we're looking for. The constraints we have to do with our carpentry, painting, maximum number of chairs, and minimum number of tables. Now, T and C can have to be greater than or equal to 0. In other words, you can't make a negative amount of chairs or a negative amount of tables. All of this will not be used in this solution here. So we don't have to worry about this bottom part. It's just there for us to understand. Now, right here, up here, this is where my variables would go, T and C. These are what everything down here are going to multiply by. We don't know their values because these also are part of our solution. This will tell us how many tables we want to make, and this will tell us how many chairs we want to make. Now, in order to do this, and to normally solve this, we'd multiply 7 times T and 5 times C. Well, we're going to put the solution right here, and we're going to use what's called the sum product equation or formula. The sum product is the sum of the numbers after you've done the product of the numbers. In other words, if we were to multiply 7 times T, we would add to that the answer of 5 times C. So the way we do this is we start with an equal sign. We type in sum, S-U-M, and you'll notice it gives us all these different options. Double click on sum product. Now, the first array, these are what you'll multiply times your variables. So 7 and 5. And you can just grab them and highlight them. Put a comma. So there's my comma. And then the arrays 3 and 4 are the variables we're multiplying by. In this case, are unknowns. So those two. So I'm selecting B5 and C5. Now you could type those in there if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. One other thing we want to do here, we're going to close with our parentheses, is we want to make these absolute. What we mean by absolute is in every occasion that we use this formula, it will automatically reference those two cells. We want it to reference those two cells because all of these other things are also multiplying by T and C. So the way we make it absolute is we hit F4. We put our cursor in between B and 5 and we hit F4. We put our cursor in between C and 5 and we hit F4 again. You could also type it this way. You could hit the $ in your own typing and type in B $5 colon $C. You could type that in there and be just fine. Now when we hit enter, we're going to have 0 as an answer, which is just fine because we don't know the solution for our tables and chairs yet. That's what we're going to use Solver for. Now I'm going to reselect it, and you see the green box in the bottom corner. I'm going to left click that and drag it down through the rest of these constraints. Now, I don't need this constraint here because there is nothing there, so I'm just going to delete that, and then we won't worry about it there. But I'm too lazy to retype it down here and then drag it, so this will work out for us just fine. Now, what we want to do here is over here in this section, right here where we're going to find out the maximum number of tables and chairs that we can make to make our maximum profit. And right here is going to give us our solution to the maximum profit. So this is our reference cell, or our objective cell, I should say. That's what we want to get. Now, we also need, right here is where the symbols would normally go. So this is when you multiply them, you would have a symbol here and then the solution. The symbol, you can see here, are less than, less than, less than, and then here's our greater than or equal to. The symbols will be placed in there automatically by Solver, so we won't put anything here in this cell, but we do need to put what their solutions are. So 2400, hit enter. We have 1000, we have 450, and we have 100. So now we have all those solutions there. We're ready to use Solver. If you don't have Solver, come up here to tell me what, and type in their Solver. You see add-ins, so you select add-ins, and then you just need to put check mark on Solver and click OK, and it will download Solver onto your Microsoft. Now, you're probably gonna have to do that every time you open up a new Excel. Sorry, anytime you open up a new Excel sheet, you'll probably have to do that again. Okay, but it's really easy, so it's no big deal. So I don't need it because I already have it. But you come up to the Data tab up here, And then all the way to the end is where solver will be. We're going to select that. Now, because I had my cursor in D6, that is where they're putting their set objective. If your cursor is not in D6, it's okay because you see how this is highlighted. All you would have to do is come over here and click in D6 and it would change this. If that doesn't work, then just type this in exactly as you see it here. Now here, the variable cells, these are our B5 and C5. These are our variable cells. These are what everything is going to multiply by. So if you don't have those in there, all you would have to do is click both of, sorry, I clicked the wrong ones. Let me do that again. Highlight them. All I'd have to do is click up here and highlight them. And now it does the dollar signs for me and everything already because those have to be absolute. So it's done. Now we need to add in here our constraints. Now our constraints, when we look at this, our constraints, these three all have less than or equal to symbols. So we can actually put these three constraints in there together as one. So we're going to go to add. And the reference cells for this are going to be the solution of when we multiply 3 times t and 4 times c. That's these ones. So I'm going to select D8 down through D10. These are the three that have the less than or equal to symbol. The one that has a greater than or equal to symbol, that's the one with the 100. That one is not with the same symbol, so I need to make a new constraint with that one. Now, the constraint right here is the value that we have over here. So we're going to select F8 through F10. So these are our constraints. These constrain these solutions. Now we'll click OK, and now you'll see it here in this section. Now we have one more constraint because this was a greater than or equal to one. This one we're not doing anything for. So we need to add another one. And the cell reference we'll have will be D11. And we need to change the symbol to greater than or equal to symbol. So we click here and select it. And then we will select the constraint by clicking in here first and then clicking on F11. We'll click OK and add that in there. Now you want to make sure this is check marked. So we want non-negative answers here, okay? And then this, for anything that's linear, like what we're doing, we're just going to select simplex LP, okay? Now we need to go into our options and make some changes up here. This is okay as far as our constraint precision. We want to make sure we have use automatic scaling so that we don't have to create the scaling. Also, in this section, what we're going to want to do here is our maximum time and iterations, we're going to be just fine if we just make those as 100. No matter what problem you guys do, just always make these 100 and it should be more than enough for whatever we need. And these ones, the evolutionary, we're just going to make those, the book recommends 5,000, we'll just make them 5,000. I would just recommend making these big all the time. That way it takes into account all the things that you need it to give you the solution. You shouldn't have a solution bigger than 5,000. If you do, then you might consider bigger numbers there, okay? Now we're going to select OK there. So that was our options. Everything here should now be lined up to be able to give us our solutions up here and here. So when I click solve, you'll notice that it says you found a solution. All constraints or optimal condition are satisfied. So it's satisfied the solutions. Now, one other thing, we want to keep the solver solution, obviously, because you can see it here, $320, $360, and $4,040 is our profit. Now, there's a couple things you could do before you close off this page. You could return to the dialog box by selecting this and clicking OK, which is the box that we put all the information into. Maybe you want to make a change. Maybe you don't like what you see. Or you could also select the answer. And what happens with the answer is it's going to show you all this data in a table, and it's going to give you an answer report just like the one that I have down here already. So you would just select OK, and it would give you your answer. So let's go to our answer report. Here it is. There's our profit, $4,040. These are the number of tables, 320. Number of chairs, 360, right? Notice that this greater than or equal to is not binding, and that these carpentry and painting hours are binding, and the maximum number of chairs is not binding. So this is the information right here. Um, just you can look through this yourselves. This just gives you um, an answer, like um, shows you what your answer is and how, and kind of sums it all up for you. Okay, so it'd be good for you guys to have those when you turn this into me. Anyway, that's how we use Solver. You just need to make sure you know your equations, know which symbols are appropriate to use, and then notice that when we did our constraints, we lined up the three that had the same symbols one after another so that we could easily put that into our constraints. You could do each of these one at a time if you wanted to, but we could save a lot more time by having them all in a row. That way we could select them all in a row. There's other ways of doing it too, but we just won't get into that right now in here. All right, guys. Hopefully that helps you at least understand how to use Solver and how to get it onto your Excel worksheet. And if you have further questions, just let me know.